All right, punks, we are back with another vlog from Parks Casino outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Sorry for the delay in getting this one out, but we have hit a little bump in the road here in Pennsylvania, and all of us vloggers out here on the East Coast trying to make good content for you can use your help. A couple of weeks ago, the Gaming Control Board here in Pennsylvania got a complaint about a vlog from Parks, and they have come into Parks and cracked down on phones at the table. They are saying you cannot be on a phone while you're in a hand, and that essentially makes it impossible to vlog right now. However, I am not the type to just sit back and take what they're giving me. I have started a petition on change.org. There is a link in the description and in the comments below. If you would mind taking a minute out of your time, go sign that petition, because I'm going to take that petition to the Gaming Control Board and try and show them that poker vlogging is a net positive for the game. It is the way that new players are finding the game, and try and change our mind on allowing vlogging in Pennsylvania. Every signature helps, and I promise that I'm going to fight this on all fronts, and I've already contacted a gaming lawyer about helping me out with that. So everybody signing the petition can only make my job a lot easier going to the board. With that said, also hit that like and subscribe buttons, because it helps the channel grow, it helps get the message out to more people, and it'll help not just me, but all the other East Coast vloggers who are trying to make content for you guys. This session was a very up and down one. You have to watch to the end to see if I came out on top or if I was a big loser. But now, without further ado, let's get to some hands. The first hand we get involved with this evening, we are in the big blind and we look down at ace queen offsuit. Under the gun 1 limps, and then middle position raises to $25. Low jack, under the gun 1, and I all just call. With 102 in the pot, we see a flop of queen 6-3 with the queen 6 of clubs. Good way to start off here, flopping top pair with top kicker. We check, as does the under the gun player, and the aggressor in middle position c-bets for $65. Low jack folds, we call. Under the gun 1 folds. With 232 in the pot, we see the 7 of hearts on the turn. Since this doesn't change anything, we check again, so the middle position player now sizes up to $95. We just flat here since I want to keep my hand strength concealed and not blast him off a bluff with a hand like a missed flush draw on the river. With 422 in the pot, the jack of hearts hits the river. Not wanting it to check through here, I lead out for 175, trying to make it look like a missed flush draw. The villain calls, we show, and the villain folds, and we start off scooping a nice little pot here. The first table we were at ended up breaking when it got short-handed, and when we get to our new table, we get recognized by a vlog watcher named Justin, who we get to play this session with. Shout out to Justin for being a great guy to play with. We lost a few small hands at that last table before moving, and our stack is sitting at about $1,200 here when we find ourselves in the big blind with red pocket 10s. The straddle is on, and middle position player limps. The hijack then raises to $60. We call, and then the straddler raises to $275. Middle position folds, hijack flat calls, and we go into the tank for a minute. This line isn't making a lot of sense, as the hijack only has about $300 behind. If he was that strong, why wouldn't he shove? It's only $210 for me to have the chance at a pot, which is sitting at $612. I'm getting almost 3 to 1. After thinking, I decide to make the call. Maybe not the best call, but it's early in the session, and if I am wrong or get a bad flop, I have time to recover. With 827 in the pot, we see a great flop of 4-5-8. We have an over to the board, but we check to see what the under the gun player will do. The under the gun raiser then checks, and the hijack instantly goes all in for $285. With the under the gun checking, I feel it is likely that he has a hand like ace king and missed, so I call, and as I expected, under the gun folds. With $13.97 in the pot, the run out comes. 4 of spades, 3 of diamonds. Looks like a good run out for us until hijack turns over the 6-7 of clubs. I had no idea what he was thinking calling pre-flop, and he got max value here with that miracle flop straight and took us straight to value town without passing go. I think I would have been okay if we lost to a bigger pair, but this one stung since it was such an odd line all around. We topped up to $1,000 after that last hand, lost a few small pots before starting this hand with about 950 in our stack. We're on the cutoff with Jack 10 offsuit. Hijack raises to $20. I call, as does the small blind and big blind. $80 in the pot, and we see a flop of King 3-8 rainbow. Nothing here for us, but when it checks to us, we take the stab for $35. Small blind calls, and the big blind and hijack fold. With 150 in the pot, the turn brings the 8 of hearts. This pairs the board, and when small blind checks again, we increase the pressure by sizing up to $85 here. Small blind looks like he's thinking about raising, but eventually calls. Pot is now $320, and the river is the Jack of Hearts. When the small blind checks for a third time, I give up, especially since it looked like he was ready to raise on the turn. We show our rivered pair, only to find the villain played an ultra passive ace-king offsuit, and we ship off some more chips. After a few more hands, we find ourselves in the big blind with pocket tens again. We have about $750 in our stack to start the hand, and under the gun one raises to $15. This is the same gentleman who did not 3-bet ace-king the last hand, so we just call to evaluate a flop before committing too much of our stack here. With $32 in the pot, we see a flop of Jack 8-8 with the Jack 8 of clubs. Not the best flop, but it also shouldn't hit his pre-flop raising range very often either, since I put him on hands like aces through queens or maybe ace king. I check to see what he'll do, and he checks behind me. Off to a turn, we see the 9 of hearts. This shouldn't change anything, so now I lead out for $20, and the villain quickly calls. With 72 in the pot, we get the 4 of clubs on the river. This brings in the front door flush, but I think the villain would have bet a flush draw on the flop, so I go for some thin value here, and I bet $40. The villain calls and tables Jack 10 offsuit. Here again, he took me to value town by playing so passively. We just can't seem to get this guy's number. But I think that when I do have a stronger hand later on, I will hopefully get a call from him after showing these two hands. We are having no run good tonight, so we seat change and try and change that. It also happens to be a much better vlog spot too. We also top up to $1,000 when we move to this seat as well. And we eventually look down at Queen Jack offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun limps, then under the gun +1 raises to $30. We call, and with $72 in the pot, we are off to see a flop of Queen Jack 10 rainbow. This is a good flop for us, but our hand is still vulnerable to a lot of the villain's pre-flop ranging range, so we check. The villain then down bets to $10, and we quickly call. With $92 in the pot, we see the 6 of hearts on the turn. This brings in a backdoor flush draw, but shouldn't change whether we're ahead or not. We check again, since it feels like a clear check call situation. The villain, in turn, bets $35, and we stick to the plan and just call. With 162 in the pot, we get a river of the 9 of hearts. This completes the backdoor flush draw and puts a one-liner to a king or an 8 on the board. We check again with the plan to call any reasonable bet. The villain bets 105, and we quickly call, only to get the bad news when the villain tables ace-king offsuit. In hindsight, we should really fold to any river bet, as we can't really beat anything here except the total bluff. We need to be the disciplined player and recognize these situations and get off the hook and not pay off river value bets. One way you can really help out the vlog is to real quick go down, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, gets it out there to a lot more people, really helps the vlog out a lot. Now let's get to the next one. Things have not exactly gone great tonight, but we're able to take down a few small pots that weren't worth covering here in the vlog and grind it back up to $1,100 in the stack. And we look down at a great hand, at least by tonight's standards, in the Ace Jack of clubs. We raise to $20 in middle position, and the low jack, cutoff, button, and big blind all call us. With $102 in the pot, we see a flop of Jack 7-6 Rainbow. Top is a welcome sight, and when the big blind checks to us, we continue for $40 here. The low jack calls, and the button and big blind both fold. With $182 in the pot, we see the 9 of diamonds on the turn. With the board getting more coordinated, we size up to $75 here. The villain thinks about it for a bit and eventually folds, and we pick up a small pot here for once. Things seem to finally be turning around tonight, and we have our stack up to just a bit below $1,200, and we look down at King 8 of spades on the button. The straddle is on here, cutoff limps, and we open to $40, and both the straddler and the cutoff call. With $127 in the pot, we see a flop of 10-7-4 with the 4 of spades. Not great, but when it checks to me, I continue for $75. Under the gun folds, and unfortunately, the cutoff gets a little bit sticky and calls. With $277 in the pot, we get the 2 of spades on the turn. This looks like a blank, but it greatly improves our equity, and when the cutoff checks again, we continue the pot building excursion and we fire for $150. Apparently, the villain doesn't have much and elects to leave the expedition and fold. The stack is on the rise finally, and it is sitting around $1,400 after that last one and another small pot we picked up. But before we look down at pocket tens under the gun, and we raise to $20. The middle position and low jack both call, and then the small blind 3 bets to $100. This looks like a squeeze to me, and I contemplate a 4 bet, but I think our hand is marginal to a small blind squeeze range, and I would rather see a flop and try and realize some equity than potentially get 5 bet off the pot, so I decide to call. The middle position and low jack both fold, so with $245 in the pot, we go heads up to a flop of 9-7 deuce with the 9-7 of diamonds. Small blind continues for $125 here. With an overpair and a backdoor diamond draw, I think a raise would just fold out hands I'm beating and only get called by hands that are better, so I settle on a call. $495 in the pot, and the turn is the 8 of hearts. The small blind now shoves for his remaining $485. Open-ended and with an overpair to the board, I'm in a tough spot here. If he has an overpair, I'm well behind, but against the top 10% of hands, I am actually a good favorite, so I decide to make the call. With $1465 in the pot, the river peels off. The Queen of Hearts. Close, but unfortunately not the card we needed here. The villain then tables pocket kings to scoop this massive pot. I really don't know if this was the right play or not. I think it was, with all the equity I had and the fact that he could be making a move here with, even if it's just the top 10% of hands. When I put it into a calculator later, I think I was about a 62 to 70% favorite against the top 10% of hands. So it's hard to say, but I made the call. It ended up not working out, and we stack off a little bit again. You know what's worse than getting a premium hand that you missed the flop on? Not being able to vlog at all. That's why I need you to go to our petition with the link down below sign it so we can try and keep doing what we're doing and change some minds in Harrisburg. Thanks a lot. After that last hand, we top up with the last few chips we have in our pocket to about $950. We are under the gun +1, and we look down at 2 black queens. We raise to $20, and only the big blind calls. With $42 in the pot, we smash this flop when it comes Queen, Jack, 8. When the big blind checks to us, we check back, hoping that he can catch up on the turn and we get some money in the pot. The turn brings us the Jack of diamonds. Woo-hoo! To our delight, the villain then bets out for $60. We just call to set up the river in hopes that the villain will bet again. With 162 in the pot, we see the ace of spades on the river. The villain then bets out for $135. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I think for a minute, and then I decide on $435 as a raise. Apparently that ace on the river scared off the villain as he folds Jack 10 of hearts face up. I don't know how he got away from the trips here. I guess I should have gone a little bit smaller, but my gut instinct told me he had a jack, and I really didn't think he would be able to fold trips here. But to his credit, more power to him. He was able to get away from the second best hand here. A little while later, we find ourselves under the gun +1 with pocket sevens. We have about $11.50 in our stack, and we open to $20. The low jack, button, and big blind all call. With 82 in the pot, we see a flop of 5-2-9 with the 5-2 of spades. Not terrible for a hand, but when the big blind checks, we lead out for $35. The low jack and button call while the big blind folds. Now with 187 in the pot, we see the 5 of hearts on the turn. This makes trip fives less likely, and I'm not putting either of these two on a very strong hand at this point, so I lead again for $65. To my surprise, the low jack goes all in for his remaining $155. The button folds, and we make the call, and it's only additional $90. Off to a river with $497 in the pot, we get the Queen of Diamonds. Unfortunately, the villain then rolls over 2 black 8s to just pip us on this one, and we ship off some more chips. We probably could have folded to the raise, but it seemed a little bit nitty, and I really was trying to get all the way unstuck, but I really did myself a disservice by shipping off some extra chips here to get ourselves even more stuck. This session has not been great so far, but we're trying to stay patient. We pick up a few small pots without a fight and have just under $1,000 in our stack when we look down at pocket jacks under the gun.
They are the moron brothers, don't get along with others.
Okay, boys, let's turn this night around. The straddle is on, so we size up to $45 from out of position. The only caller is the cutoff. With 107 in the pot, we smash the flop when it comes out. 5 Jack 3 with the Jack 3 of spades. Top set on the board with a bunch of draws, so we check to try and induce a bluff from the cutoff. It works when the cutout leads out for $40. We smooth call, and now with 187 in the pot, we see the 9 of hearts on the turn. Still a top set, and now 2 flush draws on the board and 2 straight draws. We intend to check raise here, but to our great disappointment, the villain checks back when we check to him. He must not have too much here, so we'll have to hope that we can get some thin value on the river. That river floats in the King of Diamonds. The backdoor straight gets there, but I don't see why the villain would improve on the turn and check back. So I go for thin value and try and make it look like I have a busted flush draw and lead for $125. The villain thinks for a bit and eventually just grabs some random amount of chips and shoves them into the middle. It ends up being $575. This line doesn't make much sense either, and I figure if it is a bluff raise with maybe ace X with the ace of spades. So I snap call with my set, only to find we have run into a river rat as he turns over the queen 10 offsuit for the backdoor straight. The check back on the turn when he actually improved got him paid, as I really didn't expect an improved hand to not bet for value there. In a spot like this, I think I could fold to a raise like this on the river, but I'm not sure if that would be a little bit too exploitative and if it's just too weak of a play. Tell me what you think down below. Should I have been able to get rid of this hand here and save the extra money, or should this really be a call, and if I get, backdoored there, I get backdoored there? All right, punks. Tough one here tonight. We were in for $2,000. We were out for $328, making us $1,672 to the downside. Not our best session, but we'll have to try and grind it back next time. You know what will help make this big loss sting a little less? A like, a subscribe, a petition signature. Help me continue making these vlogs for you, and I will do everything I can to keep them coming. And as always, remember, run it up the punks.